They say now in the Huffington Post that Mitt Romney's Bain capital, way back when it was originally founded, was seeded with money from Latin American death squads. Bain, sorry. Well, let me ask you a question. What's the difference in that and the Democrats being underwritten by Planned Parenthood and NARAL? If they're not death squads, I don't know what is. How many abortions every year? 1.73 million or something? I mean, if they're going to sit out there, is this the kind of stuff you're talking about, Snurdly? This is the way we fight back? Okay, so you say Romney's Bain capital founded with money from death squads, even though it's a dubious claim. What do you call Planned Parenthood if that's not a death squad? And who could, plenty can object. Who could disagree? Yeah, and the fat drivers. Do you think maybe putting them in bigger cars might help? Is it that fat drivers are driving around these little golf carts now that might be the problem? They just don't fit in them? You think fat drivers have a problem getting into an SUV? This study, by the way, claims that fat people aren't just hurting themselves. They're now running over people because they can't stay awake. Fat people driving around fall asleep because they're fat and they run over people. Oh, speaking of which, you know what happened to me driving into work today? I'm driving in and I get to an intersection, a stoplight intersection. It's green and I go through it. And as I'm right in the middle of the intersection, I notice in the rearview mirror a police car with all the lights flashing. I can't hear the sirens, but I see the lights. Now, normally what you're supposed to do is you pull over. It's a 4-lane. I'm in the middle lane here in my direction. I'm in the middle of the intersection. So you can't pull over to the right and make way for the cop. So I just slowed down and stopped, gave the cop time to go around me. And like every other rubbernecker around, and I proceeded, and I followed the cop. And less than a half a mile, I found out what the problem was. A bicyclist had been hit by a car. And there were some people gathered. The cop goes up, gets out. I drive by. The bicyclist, it's right in the middle of the street, the bicyclist sitting up, laughing. So I keep driving. Here come two fire trucks. I mean, it is so little. This is like living where we live is like living in the 50s. Nothing ever happens here. A bicyclist sitting in the middle of the street gets a cop car and two fire trucks. And you watch, it'll be front page story in a local paper when it next publishes on Sunday. So anyway, folks, I've been, one other thing. This is, to me, hilarious. ABC News ran a story yesterday. I apologize for missing this yesterday. 6 months ago, this is about the Congressional Black Caucasians. You know, Alan West, one of our guys from here, is a member of the Congressional Black Caucasians. And they have meetings now and then. And they rotate whose responsibility it is to bring lunch for the assembled group of Congressional Black Caucasians. 6 months ago, it was Alan West's turn. 6 months ago, he brought in Chick-fil-A. 6 months ago, brought in Chick-fil-A. The story is about how today they're mad about it. I kid you not. The story, Al C. Hastings is mad now that he brought in the Chick-fil-A 6 months ago. He didn't bring it in this week. He didn't bring it in last week. It was his responsibility 6 months ago. 6 months. West provided the now controversial chicken sandwiches about 6 months ago, but Al C. Hastings' recollection of the delivery carries fresh potency. They said the Congressional Black Caucasians got ticked off yesterday when they remembered that Alan West brought in Chick-fil-A 6 months ago. I mean, that's hilarious. These guys, I guess it is, takes a while to digest, but getting mad over somebody having 6 weeks, and then somehow somebody calls ABC. How does anybody know that Alcee Hastings gets mad unless somebody calls ABC to tell them? And then ABC thinks, this is a story. Allen West brought in Chick-fil-A for the Congressional Black Caucasians 6 months ago, and yesterday the rest of the Black Caucasians got mad about it. Here we go to the audio soundbites. We're going to play this ad again. This the Joe Soptic ad. This is the ad that has now been disavowed by Facts, random act of journalism at CNN. This is the Mitt Romney killed my wife ad.
When Mitt Romney and Bain closed the plant, I lost my health care, and my family lost their health care. And a short time after that, my wife became ill. I don't know how long she was sick, and I think maybe she didn't say anything because she knew that we couldn't afford the insurance. And then one day she became ill, and I took her up to the Jackson County Hospital and admitted her for pneumonia, and that's when they found the cancer. And by then it was stage 4. There was nothing they could do for her, and she passed away in 22 days. I do not think Mitt Romney realizes what he's done to anyone, and furthermore, I do not think Mitt Romney is concerned.
Yeah, and apparently this stuff works. We're told Victor Davis Hanson with his piece in the Chicago, or in the Corner, National Review Online Corner. If I were Romney, I wouldn't count on the idea of class warfare and the so-called politics of personal destruction, McCarthyite tactics not working because they always have worked for Obama and Axelrod in the past, and they seemed to work last week. He writes this: in the last 10 days, Mitt Romney's been reduced by various Obama surrogates through rumor, innuendo, and falsity. That's lies for those of you in Rio Linda. To a tax-avoiding cheat who probably never paid taxes for a decade, a near felon who lied on a federal form, and a veritable killer who destroyed a cancer victim's chance of getting medical attention. All of it untrue, and yet all damaging, as the corrections are not even out before Obama goes on to the next new inaccurate charge, which today is Bain Capital, founded with money from right-wing death squads. This is stuff we do parodies over. It is depressing to know that this stuff works. Obama is running a Robin Hood class warfare blitzkrieg, even though he knows that the upper income levels have never paid a higher share of the nation's tax than they are now, and bumping them up to 39% would only lower the deficit in minuscule ways, given the gargantuan spending since 2009, and the general absence of new revenue when unemployment is in its 41st consecutive month. Obama knows all this, and Romney knows all, and still this stuff works. Raising taxes on the raising taxes on the rich is not about the deficit. Are we to believe that the people who believe this stuff are smart enough, informed enough to make a connection between raising taxes on the rich and reducing the deficit? Give me a break. That's not what it's about to them. It's about getting even with them. It's about pure class war. The only reason people want rich to pay more taxes is because they want the rich to feel some pain. They want somebody to stick it to the rich. And Obama's running around making it sound like that's exactly what he's going to do. There's no pretense that there's any good politics attached to it. This is pure envy. There's nothing in there. They're not making a connection that raising taxes on the rich is going to reduce the deficit. They don't care. They don't care about the deficit. They don't care about the debt. They don't care about spending. I don't care about any of that. I'm talking about Obama's vote. I'm talking about people who believe this stuff. Now, Victor Davis Hanson says none of this stuff's new. The media favorite that Obama eliminated all his Democrat rivals in his first election for the Illinois legislature by suing in court to invalidate their nomination petitions and run opposed in the primary. Obama demolished his U.S. Senate Democrat primary rival through leaked divorce records. He demolished his initial Republican rival through leaked divorce records. When he got through with Hillary Clinton, she and that she'd transmogrified into a prevaricating hack and a veritable racist. John McCain released his health records. His general dismal ranking at Annapolis is released. That led to a false narrative that he was unnaturally inattentive and reckless and not healthy, while Obama released nothing, as Sarah Palin was reduced to a caricature of an uninformed, poor, and trashy mother. All of the above transpired while Obama ran as a reformer and as a proponent of civility, who vowed to run a transparent campaign of full disclosure and leave the old petty and gotcha politics behind. He's exactly right. Obama does all this scorched earth stuff while preaching civility and transparency and getting rid of the old partisan politics of the past, when he's doing nothing but practicing it better or worse, depending on your perspective, than anybody ever has. And he gets away with it because nobody calls him on. But let me ask this. Yeah, he gets away with it. And a lot of us say he gets away with it because the media gives him a pass. And I understand that. But really, folks, if we've gotten to the point where Obama can run an ad accusing Romney of killing a guy's wife, do we really need the media to criticize Obama in order for that to be perceived as an out-and-out dirty lie? I mean, some of this stuff ought to stand on its own. Some of this stuff shouldn't need the media ripping Obama for it. Some of the hypocrisy ought to be plain as day. Here's Obama. He's running as a reformer, as a unifier, as the Messiah, as demanding new civility. Get rid of the old politics of the past. Get rid of all this partisanship. His campaign is nothing but the worst of the worst. We shouldn't need the media to point that out. It ought to be obvious. And yet, it works. It's frustrating to admit it, frustrating to know it, but it works. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, the American people think the absolute worst politician ever been around is Richard Nixon. And that is the media. But still, some of this stuff, it's not good enough for me to say, well, Rush, the media is not calling Obama on any of this. If the media harped on it, I understand that, but some of this shouldn't require that. It's that egregious. Anyway, CNN's random act of journalism found out that this ad it's a total lie, and it's much worse. And we'll let you hear those sound bites when we get back.